Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG Build Guide Edition. Today I am ready to drop on you my new Spellbade and potentially maybe my favorite build of this update. Yes, I just said that. As always, we will look at gameplay, skills, passives, gear, and of course break down the character sheet. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. Now for this build, we're gonna go a little out of order and actually start at the training dummy. Now the skills we're gonna be using are Shatter Strike, Surge, Enchant Weapon, Flame Ward, and Firebrand. Now the reason why I want to start at the training dummy is because seeing how the build works from a damage standpoint will help you understand the gameplay. Okay, ready? I consider this build having 3 different levels. Killing trash, killing smaller, rare bosses, and then obviously killing full-on bosses. So, Shatter Strike's gonna hit 3 times, and if you're ever killing trash, you just go up and hit him. Hits 3 times, and there's your Shatter Strike. 30,000 on crit, 5,000. You will still kill little enemies, okay? Now, if you have a larger enemy, you move up to level 2. And on level 2, you stack 3 stacks of Firebrand. 1, 2, 3, and now you hit Shatter Strike. 1, 2, 3, and now you hit Shatter Strike. That puts you now 150 to 190,000 damage, and it's a guaranteed crit. If you want, you could stack 6 stacks of Firebrand, and you're gonna get over 300. But that isn't the big boost. Now you move up to the level 3 damage. Level 3 damage. This is boss killing damage. Ready? You stack your Firebrand, and now you hit him with Enchant Weapon. Ready? Did you see that? That was Shatter Strike hitting 3 times for over 200,000, totaling close to 700,000 damage. By the way, this character is level 76, and we were really close to being able to hit these damage numbers at level 68. 68. Let me show you again. Build up your Firebrand, drop Enchant Weapon, then hit, do it again, and wham. That's a lot of damage. Now let's check out some gameplay. Now you already saw Shatter Strike and Firebrand. The other skills we're going to be using are Surge, Enchant Weapon, and Flame Ward. Flame Ward is going to keep you alive, and then obviously Surge is for movement. So let's go through and see how we do. It's a very, very good build. Now, a couple things that I will just preemptively warn you about. This build does require mana, and lots of it. I think I have close to 140 mana regen. That is how I'm able to keep all these skills going. Shatter Strike by itself costs 35. But as you can see, for killing trash, no problem. No problem. I'm hoping we have something big to fight. Actually, you know what we'll do? Maybe we'll fight a Shade after this.
I cannot do that.
Now, when you look at Flame Ward, that is going to auto trigger every single time you get stunned. So you almost never have to trigger Flame Ward yourself. Trust me, and it goes off all the time. Another cool thing about this build, see, it just went off. Done. But the question is, can it survive a boss encounter? So let's fight the Shade for a minute. See what we can do. Which one do we got? Come and get me. I think we're doing okay. Let me show you how to recreate this build. Now let's check out the skills, starting with Enchant Weapon. Give you a second to take a look at the skill tree without me highlighting anything. Okay, you want 5 into Cell, 2 into Shivering Blade, 5 into Frostbrand, 1 into Overload, 1 into Frozen Sparks, 4 into Concentration, 1 into Desperation, and 1 into Efficacy. Now I will say, early on, Overloaded helped me. You get a free melee elemental attack once you click this. And before I had all my mana regen, it helped me a lot because I would stick 6 stacks of Firebrand, then hit Enchant Weapon, then I would get a free Shatter Strike. But I'm thinking right now that the way my build is right now, if it was geared the same way, you could probably take that point out and drop it down over here. Bring down the mana cost and bring up your damage. Okay? But, so Overloaded, that's an option for you. Moving over to Surge. I'm going to give you lots of options today. Give you a second to look at it. All on the bottom. Okay. 5 into Shocking Blows, 3 into Lightning Rush, 4 into Storm Aegis, 1 into Glacial Assault, 1 into Cold Front. This is what turns it into a cold skill. 1 into Shielding, 5 into Long Strider. Now you want to be able to go farther with this skill because it's very short. So you want Long Strider. Now, if you're struggling with survivability whatsoever, you could pull these 8 points out. Lightning Rush and Shocking Blows. You can go all in to Ward. That'll give you 8 points back. So 1 there, 4 there. That would still give you 3. You can use those other 3 over here for Ward gain and your base crit chance, okay? So if you're struggling with survivability at all, don't worry about trying to make Surge a damage dealer. Just take Ward. But I like being able to kill enemies with it, so I went that route, okay? Options. Moving over to Flame Ward, one of the staples for the Mage class. I absolutely love this skill. I literally always build it out the exact same way. Give you a second to look at it. Okay. 3 in Dilation, 5 into Stalwart defenses, 3 into separate defense or desperate defenses, 1 into Astonish, 2 into Fuel the Flames, 1 into Duel, 5 into Barrier. 40% less hit damage, 200 to ward, 36%, or Flame Ward grants additional ward equal to missing health, 36%. When you get stunned, it auto triggers, kind of saves you from getting one shot. Ward granted 20%, and you get 2 charges, and you get the longest duration with mana efficiency. Great skill, helps keep you alive. Moving over to Firebrand. Firebrand. Give you a second to look at it. Second complete. Now, it took me a long time to figure out how to use this skill, and I'm not gonna lie, I had to enlist some help. But that's okay. I can openly admit that. You want 3 into Fulmination, 5 into Pyro Shielding, 3 into Fading Flame, 3 into Hypothermia, 2 into Warding Flames, 2 into Wildfire, 1 into Incineration, and 1 into Illuminating Fire. Now this, because I was trying to figure out why is this skill so good, and that was what somebody told me, it's this node. As long as you have 3 strikes up, or 3 stacks up, it will guarantee crit. Which means you don't have to worry about any crit chance, only crit multiplier. Through Firebrand, every skill will be a guaranteed crit as long as you have 3 stacks. It's really, really good. And then on top of that, as you are hitting people, you're just gaining ward. This is a ward builder as well. And you can have as many as 6 stacks. Last but not least, Shatter Strike. The boss itself. Give you a second to look at it. All right, second complete. You want to go down first. Lingering Chill, 4, 3 into Cold, 2 into Whiteout. This is what makes it recast 2 times. Don't worry about the mana cost. Don't worry about the attack speed. Does not matter. Shatter Strike will hit 3 times. Then you want to go to the left. 5 into Shiver. It's going to give you a larger area and give you cold penetration. And then 4 into Cold Steel. Critical strike multiplier per sword. This is going to give you 240% critical strike multiplier. I'm going to say that one more time. Cold Steel is going to give you 240% to crit strike multiplier. It's insane. That's how we can generate, actually on that first hit on the training dummy, we generated 740,000 damage. Pretty darn good at level 76. And then the last 2, Icy Flow. Now I will say these last 2, they're not needed. I put them in there just to bring down the mana cost because in bigger boss fights, you will need it to spam more. But those were the last 2 I went in. Those are the skills. Moving over to the passives, and again, we're level 76. We finished the entire campaign. Okay, so we don't have that many points. What is it? 89. Starting with the base class, you want 25 into it. 2 into Scholar, 8 into Arcanist, 5 into Mage Flurry, and then 10 into Knowledge of Destruction. You want that crit strike multiplier, even at 30%, okay? And it's gonna help you level. Spellblade, moving over to Spellblade. Nothing into Sorcerer, we don't have Rune Master. 6 into Elemental Affinity, 8 into Infused Weapon, 5 into Frozen Steel, 5 into Arcane Shielding, 1 into Shattered Aegis, 5 into Essence Duel, 5 into Mana Reaver, 1 into Gemini, 8 into Prismic Blade, 10 into Volca's Razor, 10 into Blade Weaver. That's where we're at. On our last point, we finished off Mana Reaver to get that mana gain. But this tree is where you get a bunch of damage. Oh, and right here. This one. Perfect synergy. Moving over to everyone's favorite gear, starting with idols. What is it? The 5th time I've said it. We're only level 76, okay? Gear, there's a lot to be desired. I mean, literally look at my idols, okay? But there are 2 big idols you want. Same affixes. Increase melee elemental damage and plus to melee cold. And I was lucky enough to find 2 of them. Now they can roll as high as 4 and 70. So this one's 48 and 3. This one's 38 and 3. So obviously they could be way, way better. But those are the only 2 big idols you want. Down here, you can get Frostbite duration and increase mana and armor. I mean, nothing great. And the rest of these I used for cold or anything I needed to finish up resistances, okay? But really the main idols are those 2. That's all you need. The rest you get to pick for yourself, okay? Now moving over to gear. Is there required items for this build? The answer is no. There is not. I'm sorry. You need to use swords. You do need to use swords for this build. Are these required? Shard of the Shattering Lances. No. Will they make your build 500% better? Yes. Yes, they will. And of course, you can use 2 of them. So look what they rolled as. 79 to melee cold, 91 to melee cold damage, freeze rate multiplier, and health regen. They're really good. They're really, really, really good. And I happen to have 2 of them. Okay? So if you have these weapons, which I've found 1,000 times, use both. And as you can see, these unlock at level 68. That's why at level 68, I was able to start generating those huge damage numbers. All right, so let's go through the rest of the gear. And I'll explain why I use the gear once we go through it. Helmet. Very easy to find, common. Amulet, cold penetration, mana regen. Armor. Dex, intelligence, cold or freeze rate multiplier. Ring, dex and mana. Belt, cold and mana. Ring, I needed the resistances. Mana, relic, crit, multiplier. Look at how terrible this relic is. Crit multiplier though. Boots, dex, crit avoidance, movement, and then gloves. Look at this, these gloves. I just needed the resistances, okay? Obviously my gear has a lot to be desired. Now, why do I have so much dex? Why am I using this helmet? Why am I using this armor? You'll notice that this armor has tier 5 dex, tier 5 intelligence, and this helmet comes with 12 to dex, 12 to intelligence, ward per second, and necrotic resistance. Well, when you look at Shatter Strike and you look at its scaling, it scales with dexterity and intelligence. Now, dexterity you would want more, because that's going to give you increased melee damage and plus 51 to melee cold, 1 per point. And then intelligence, you're going to get increased cold and increased freeze rate multiplier. So when I was building the skill, or building the character, I was like, this helmet actually is perfect. I need the necrotic resistance. We are building it based upon ward, and it gives 12 to dex, 12 to intelligence. So it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And then same thing, I was looking for the freeze rate multiplier armor. This one I happened to get tier 5 dex and intelligence. So help scale big time. That is the gear. Now let's check out the character sheet. Now, like obviously I just said a second ago, dex and intelligence is what you want. Dex we're at 51, intelligence we're at 34. All resistances are maxed. Run walks at 34. Armor 19, dodge 12, don't really care. Ward retention 144. Our critical strike multipliers at 253. That is the big number you want. Cold damage is at 96. So even with our cold damage just at 96%, we are still generating that 700,000 damage. Defenses, crit strike avoidance is at 69. Endurance and endurance threshold are basically at minimum. The only other stat you want to look at is freeze rate multiplier, which is at 550%. Now on here, it doesn't track it correctly. Or maybe it does. Maybe it does. Am I looking at that wrong? Yeah, so on here, our mana regen is 20 per second, okay? And that's because of 33 here, 28 here, 35 here, 37 there. Yeah, it's like 140% to mana regen, which generates 20 mana per second. That's why it goes up so fast. Look at that. It goes up very, very fast. Now, a question I get asked all the time, and I want to start adding it into my build guides, is leveling. Aaron, how do you level this character? Some people like the answer, some people don't. I actually level this character through the base class, okay? Mike was actually in stream when I was leveling it, and he was laughing. And he thought it was awesome, which is good. So what I do to level this character, I use Elemental Nova. I use Teleport. I use Flame Ward, and I use Fireball. I'm gonna say that again. I use Elemental Nova. I use Teleport. I use Flame Ward, and I use Fireball. And I use those 4 skills literally all the way until level 55. I think I had 60 points into the base class. And you just spec it as fire. And you will fly through the campaign. You will fly through the campaign. It doesn't matter if you're going to be a rune master. It doesn't matter if you are a sorcerer. It doesn't matter if you're a spellblade. If you want to level fast and efficiently, you should use fire, and you should use those 4 skills and stick in the base class. It's the best way to do it. All right, everyone, that's the build guide. I try and envision this character at level 100. 24 more points and endgame gear. It would likely be the best build I've ever made. But I want to know your opinion. Is there something I missed to push it even farther? Is there any questions that you have? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, the build planner and the loot filter are also linked in the description. I'm sure you've heard by now that I have officially Started a Twitch, streaming on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, playing lots of Last Epoch. We made this character together over 4 or 5 streams. Always a good time. Love the ARPG crew. Good conversations. First link in the description below if you'd like there to ask any questions or just hang out. It's always fun. If you haven't had a chance to join the official Action RPG Discord, please do so. We're now over 1,200 members. Great conversations every day. The idea is to create a gaming community that could jump from game to game together, so you never start the server alone. Link for that Discord is also in the description. I hope you all enjoyed this cold Shatter Strike Spellblade. Hopefully you're entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.